Hey everyone, what's up? And today in my video I'm going to talk about why I think every starting quarterback in the state of Florida is on the quarterback hot seat, according to my opinion. And just because they're on the hot seat doesn't mean the team is going to replace them somehow for next year. But they're going to have to step up their game, and I'm going to tell you what each of them needs to do if they don't want to get replaced. Let's start off with Ryan Tannehill. As you can see, nothing much because he's just been posting average records and one magical season in 2016 where he would have started the playoff game at Pittsburgh, but he got hurt in Week 14 against the Arizona Cardinals, and then the next year he got hurt again. He got hurt again before the season started, and now ever since his Week 5 debacle at Cincinnati, where he lost the game he lost the game for the team by himself because his two turnovers were generated into two Cincinnati Bengals touchdowns, and the Bengals beat them 27-17. And at one point, the Dolphins were up 17-0 and 17-3. But then Ryan Tannehill played poorly and he self-destructed. And the reason I'm telling you that he needs to step up his game is that he's reminding nobody that he is Bob Greasy or Dan Marino, and nor will he ever be because those were Hall of Fame quarterbacks. But he at least has to play to a level where fans and the team can believe in him, that he can get to the playoffs more consistently and win in the playoffs and eventually win a Lombardi trophy. Because, as you know, the Dolphins started as a franchise in 1966, and then the next year they drafted future Hall of Famer Bob Greasy. And after he retired in 1980, they went through a couple of years, where they had issues at quarterback. But then in 1983, they hit gold again when they drafted Dan Marino out of Pittsburgh. So those are two Hall of Fame quarterbacks um, um, that have played for the Miami Dolphins. And Ryan Tannehill just has to be a very good quarterback or a quarterback that can get you somewhere. And so far, he hasn't done that. But there's one thing that he can do when he comes back from injury to save his job, and that is guide the team to the postseason, which will be by a wild card spot because as long as Tom Brady and Bill Belichick are with the Patriots, no one's winning the AFC East. But that's going to depend on how Brock Osweiler plays in the next two games because the Dolphins sit at 4-2. They need to win at least one of the next two if they want a shot at a wild card spot. But if Ryan Tannehill can get them into the playoff, possibly win a playoff game, or show that he's played well in a playoff loss, then I think he'll keep his job going into the 2019 season despite his recent injury issues. Next is Jaguars quarterback Blake Bortles. As you can see, he hadn't done much till last year, where the team made the postseason for the first time in a decade. He won two playoff games, one an ugly 10-3 win at home against Buffalo, and the second was a 45-42 shootout at Pittsburgh in a game which everyone expected the Steelers to win easily. And also that one loss in the postseason, that was to Tom Brady and the Patriots in Foxborough, which should have never happened because, as you know, the Jaguars were up 14-10 right before the half. I think it was like a minute before the half, and then they just started taking QB knees, even though they had two timeouts, and not because they didn't trust Blake Bortles with the ball. I think if they really didn't trust Blake Bortles with the ball, they should have at least tried to set up a screen pass, just so they can probably get like a chunk of yards and then take him from there if they hit big on that play. But this season the Jaguars started off hot at 3-1, but then they lost their next two games, and Blake Bortles hasn't generated any offense for the team. But he can still save his job because he's in a three-way tie with the Titans and the Texans for the AFC South. And if he just gets a playoff spot and wins in the postseason, I think the Jaguars will keep him going into next season and not replace him with a quarterback in free agency or drafting one in the spring. Now we have Jameis Winston. Ever since he's been drafted in, ever since being drafted in 2015, he really hasn't done much for the team, despite all the talent he had, like Deshaun Jackson and Mike Evans and O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate on offense. And to make matters worse for him, he's had a lot of off the field issues. Like the whole Uber driver issue. He just has to get his act together. I think for him to be the Bucs starting quarterback next season, he's gonna have to play well and win some games. I say like 7 I think he'll have to get the team to 7-9 or 8-8 or 9-7. And if he gets them into the playoffs somehow, I believe it'll be 100% lock that he'll be the Bucs quarterback in Week 1 of the 2019 season, and hopefully he can be the face of the Buccaneers for a long time. That's it. That's all. If you want more content, please feel free to press the subscribe button down below.